Hello everyone, David here. With this video, we start a new series called Fix My Mix. By popular demand, and also because I want to give the chance to everyone to see what they get with this subscription to the channel, which not only gives you access to the already big and always growing library of in-depth professional mix and mastering courses, tutorials and videos, but also mix consultations with me. So with this series, everyone can get a general idea of how those mix consultations work, what to expect. Of course, these are going to be a quick and easy version of them. I'm not going to go into that much detail as I do for real consultation, but I hope it's still going to be helpful and fun. I'm going to listen to your mixes. These are all mixes sent from subscribers. Analyze them, see what's wrong, what can be fixed, what can be improved, either in mix or mastering. So let's get to the first ones. Hello everyone, welcome back to MixPass TV. Hope you're having a great day. Before we start, of course, check the info box down below for my mixing courses on Pro Mix Academy. Free plugins, special discounts and offers, new every month. And if you want to support the channel, but most important, access to the exclusive content, click the join button down here, see all the perks of becoming a MixPass TV member. This video is also about that. So let's get to it. All right, without further ado, let's start with the first one. This one's called The Weekend. No other information was given, and this is the mix.
Yeah. And I don't think I'll ever get life. Some women get the title mother, but will never get wife. She never walked across that stage, that's how their legacy runs. Last test she took in school was a pregnancy one, and then she raised them kids by herself without no help from a man. Trade them babies for nothing, but this ain't the life that she planned. The race is not for the swift. Yours was rough from the start. You just got dealt a bad hand. You're still the queen of their heart. Wanna see her boy rise as her son. The teacher asked him about his heroes. He knows none except one. The woman that then gave him his life. Now she fight to survive, and it just seems like she spends a whole week just waiting on the weekend. She spend a whole week just waiting on the weekend. Spend a whole week just waiting on the weekend.
All right, let's just stop here for now, and I'm gonna give you my very first impression, which is arguably the most important, okay? I haven't listened to these mixes before, so this is my genuine first impression at the 1 minute mark. The good about this mix is the low end translates very well on small speakers. Right now I'm listening to my little JBL. And the low end feels solid. It translates very well, which is good. The bad is arguably the most common mistake, so to speak, problem that I see and hear on home mixes and home productions. Basically, this lacks vocal production, like real vocal production. There's one very lonely vocal, aside from when the background vocals come in, and aside from few basic predictable vocal throws, delays, the vocal is very lonely there and is also too dynamic, is not dynamically controlled enough. But I want to point out something very important that most people seem to forget. Your first 10 seconds are extremely important, okay? And this intro doesn't really grab your attention. It just hope for you to be interested in listening more. So because you have throw delays here,
was a pregnancy one, and then she raised them kids by
the initial vocal should not be this dry and demo-like, okay? And we will talk about the difference between actually dry, like with nothing on it, which it seems like the case in this track, and those infamous, at this point, invisible ambient that I've been talking about for a while now, and I've been showing in my courses here on the channel. I've been using them extensively on the McSolaar album that I mixed. That vocal seems very dry, but it's not, okay? So let's listen to this intro.
Yeah.
So those yeah, they're super dry. They're just not really interesting, okay? They would be a lot better if they were a little further back, either with reverb, either with a special effect on it, even with just the throw delays that you have later on, and with delays and reverbs and all that, and slowly dries up to transition to the dry vocal that is in the verse. Like this is just sitting there, and it sounds like a demo.
Yeah. And I don't think I'll ever get life.
There's a sound here, there's a riser in the background. You listen.
Yeah.
That's the who vocal. Turn that up. It makes little sense to throw a sound like that that is supposed to introduce you to the verse if you don't turn it up. This is a mistake that I used to do many years ago. I was spending so much time in carving special effects and ear candies here and there, and then I was keeping them too low. The reason is because if you work a long time on those special effects, you know that they are there, you know? And so you tend to keep them low, but the listener doesn't know. So if you put an ear candy, make it loud, make it obvious, okay? Not all of them, otherwise they become distracting. There's a fine line there. But you get my point. Watch this kind of mistake because it happens often to, not much to beginners, but to middle to advanced mixers, okay? When you actually can do ear candies and special effects, and if you work too long on them, you tend to put them too low. Then we start with the verse.
And I don't think I'll ever get life. Some women get the title mother, but will never get wife. She never walked across their stage, that's how their legacy runs. Last test she took in school.
Okay, two things here. Overall, we have this piercing frequency between the snare and the hats, okay? Which should be around 6K or 10K, let's see.
And I don't think I'll ever get life. Some women get the title mother, but will never get wife.
It's around 9K, okay? That is distracting. There's so many things you can do here. I wouldn't EQ simply. I would probably try to run a dark tape emulator on the snare and on the hats, maybe a little bit of saturation. After maybe you low pass some of the high end, and then you try to bring it back with either a little bit of saturation or an exciter.
And I don't think I'll ever get life. Some women get the title mother, but
also the transient here is a little piercing because you have a fairly smooth vocal. You want the mix to be in tune with the vocal, which is the most important part. In this track, this hi-hat and snare just poke at your ears and it distracts you from the lyrics, what the hell the singer is saying. So you can do it with the cue, you can do it, like I said, with all the other processing. I'm gonna try something to open Spiff. Like if I had to master this, okay? I would probably try to find that frequency and let's say leave everything here untouched.
And I don't think I'll ever get life. Some women get the title mother, but will never get wife. She never walked across this.
And then slowly bring up the depth.
And I don't think I'll ever get life. Some women get the title mother, but will never get wife. She never walked across their stage, that's how their legacy runs. Last test she took in school was a pregnancy one.
For example, both the hat and the snare seems very mono. So let me see if they are actually only in the mono channel. I would do it with my monitor controller, but if I do it here, you cannot hear. So let me load a plugin.
And I don't mother, but will never get wife.
Okay, there's a little bit on the side, but for the most part, the frequency that we want to stop is in the mid channel. So I'm gonna switch this to the mid side and I'm gonna balance it on the mid only.
And I don't think I'll ever get life. Some women get the title mother, but will never get wife. She never walked across their stage, that's how their legacy runs. Last test she took in school was a pregnancy one. And then she raised them kids by.
And then let's say you don't want to lose the high end, you can use air EQ to just boost that high end. Now, in my case, I would do it with my SPL or with some other of my machines. But here, let me try, I don't know, some plugin that could work there. Could be the Pass EQ, just to give back a little bit of air.
And I don't think I'll ever get life. Some women get the title mother, but will never get wife. She never walked across.
No, actually, it doesn't sound good at all. Let me try American Class A from Softtube, for example.
And I don't think I'll ever get life. Some women get the title mother, but will never get wife. She never walked across their stage.
You know what? I wouldn't boost anything here. It's already still too much. Let's keep going. Now, the other problem is this very, very dry, lonely vocal. with those few throw delays. That's not enough for modern production. You can't fight the top dogs with something like this and just leave the vocal dry. And I know some of them do, but those mixes sound pretty damn bad. It doesn't matter if they hit the charts, okay? Try to let go of the concept of just because it's on the chart is a good mix, because that's very false, okay? We shoot for excellence here, at least here, okay? Then anywhere else, I don't care. If I was to master this, I would turn on my machine and I would probably use my on the moon spacecraft to fix this, because it's possible, but because I don't feel like turning on the machines for this, I will just use matulane.rms. And what we are gonna try to do for this is just grab that vocal that is in the mid channel and just spread it a little bit.
Ooh, was a pregnancy one, and then she raised them kids by herself without no help from a man. Trade them babies for nothing, but this ain't the life that she planned. Race is not for the swift.
Turn on the filter here. And also we try to cut the high end, because there's also, again, that hi-hat and snare there. That's just about there. All right, let's see how it sounds.
Ooh, was a pregnancy one, and then she raised them kids by herself without no help from a man. Trade them babies for nothing, but this ain't the life that she planned. The race is not for the swift, but yours was rough from the start.
Okay, we have a little more depth, because just an example, okay? Like I said, I would probably tame that top end with, at this point, I would probably, because it's a lot, I would probably turn on my Fatso and use the warm circuit for that. Let's keep going. Overall, it's a balanced mix until here, the first minute.
Ain't the life that she planned. The race is not for the swift, but yours was rough from the start. You just got dealt a bad hand. You still the queen of their heart. Wanna see her boy rise as her son. The teacher asked him about his heroes. He knows none except one. The woman that then gave him his life. Now she fight to survive, and it just seems like she spends a whole week just waiting on the weekend.
Okay, two things about this vocal. I'm not only looking at mistakes, but also what could be better. And the guy has a nice voice, all right? With this hi-hat and this snare so bright and so loud, which is also a problem. Think of your starting point should be, the snare should be as loud as the lead vocal. That's a good starting point, and then you adjust from there based on your taste. So the hi-hat here is hella loud. The snare is a little too loud compared to the vocal, and this prevents you to do two things on this voice. First, you have a nice clarity on this voice, untapped clarity. So it means that could have been boosted, but probably you can't, because a snare and hi-hats are so bright.
Ain't the life that she planned. The race is not for the swift, but yours was rough from the start.
Here around 3K, and then because it's a somewhat a soothing voice, you could also give him a little more body.
Ain't the life that she planned. The race is not for the swift, but yours was rough from the start. You just got dealt a bad hand. You still the queen of their heart. Wanna see her boy rise.
Instead of leaving these hip-hop vocals with their balls chopped off like most production do today, because they just, I don't know why the hell they do it. They just low cut actually everything, because I don't know, are they scared to their vocals to sound like too big? I don't understand. Probably it's like the old high pass everything but kick and bass, you know, and this is how we ended up. Not this mix in particular. This mix is not like lacking the low end and the body. It's actually fairly well balanced. But what I'm saying is you have, again, a little bit of untapped potential to make this vocal a little warmer down there, which could be done with EQ or saturation, multiband saturation in this case, and it's not. All right, let's go over this part. Let's hear the transition.
She spent the whole week just waiting on the weekend. Now the weekend's here, weekend's gone. Dear God, when you say my time is up, I just pray it all was worth it if I ever lose my...
Okay, this transition is not that great for two reasons. We lose the lead vocal. Okay, you need to automate the level here if you don't want to compress more, because you could use a little more compression here. You will lose the vocal in this part where the music goes away, when the drum goes away and the background vocals come in.
She spent the whole week just waiting on the weekend. Now the weekend's here, weekend's gone. Dear God, dear God.
Okay, so the background vocals have a nice ambient on them. We lose the lead here, and it's a little bit like this. You know, it's just, it moves too much dynamically. You want to compress at least that part, automate more compression for this one, and keep it right a little bit on top of everything, okay?
Whole week just waiting on the weekend.
There's something wrong with the guitars. It seems like they're a little off, but that's production. I'm not going into that. The background vocals.
Now the weekend's here, weekend's gone. Dear God.
You feel there's something just rubs the wrong way here. I would put the guitars, which have a pretty fast pattern, further back and lower in level and darker probably, so that you have lead on top, background second, and then the guitar back. This is what I would do. And also you want these background vocals to be, one, dynamically controlled, like steady. They have to be a choir, you know, steady. They can't bounce like this. It's weird. It sounds like a demo again, you know, if you leave them like that. It's nice to have different, although I'm not a fan of it. I like background vocals to be, for the most part, fairly symmetrical, but that's a production choice. But definitely I would have a more steady. And also, again, this dry vocal, I just don't like it. What can you do for undry that vocals and to use those invisible ambience that I use on basically all my mixes? Well, there's a lot of things. They're a little bit complicated to explain, but it's a combination basically of short rooms, ambient actually, reverbs, short delays. They can be mono or stereo. They can be feeding one into another. So I explain this and I show them in the courses here on the channel, the members only courses. Some of my favorite effects for the invisible ambience are the TC Electronic, the 2290 and the 8210, sorry. But there's some others, of course. There's some vocal doubler that are nice that I talked about in other videos. All right, let's keep going with this.
God, dear God, when you say my time is up, I just pray it all was worth it. If I ever lose my luck, I just hope it's worth the fortune and the wheel that I was spun. I just hope it turned out perfect and the man that I become is perfected with a purpose that's way bigger than me. Give me vision to see, give me lyrics to sing, give me niggas to free. Till my final words are spoken.
This snare really bugs me. Let me try something, a transient designer, a multi-band transient designer. Not this one, almost. I wanted to get the other one, the Trans X Multi. Actually, it's funny because this old Waves plugin is what I actually used on McSolaar vocal, because one of the recording was a little too spiky. Maybe it was the mic, maybe whatever, and I tried everything. Back then, there was no spiff, there was no sooth either, I think, and this one worked really well. So let me try to tame that snare a little bit with this.
God, dear God, when you say my time is up, I just pray it all was worth it. If I ever lose my luck, I just hope it's worth the fortune and the wheel that I was spun. I just hope it turned out perfect and the man that I become is perfected with a purpose that's way bigger than me. Give me vision to see, give me lyrics to sing, give me niggas to free, till my final words are spoken, till all the chains are broken. My biggest fear is I don't take it there. And all the places
it will require more work, but you get the idea. That snare should sit a little more inside the mix, because that's not an aggressive track. And also the choice of the sample, I would have rather like a deeper, smoother snare than this, but again, that's production.
And all the man I meant to be, I never get to be. Can't be it for me. My biggest fear is always wondering what would have been. My biggest fears got telling me what I could have been. My biggest...
Another most common mistake, especially on trap and hip hop, that I hear, There's no automation. Everything is so steady, beginning to end. And automation is what separates boys from men, okay? I know, again, that the genre, for the most part, that you hear around is all like steady. It's just this beat that is the same top to bottom, and it's so damn boring. You know, again, shoot for greatness, be better than everyone else. Automate that drum, automate that snare, automate that hi-hat, automate not just the level, the filter, take away some of the low end in the verse, give it back to when you're close to the chorus, the hook or the bridge. Do some effects on that snare. Maybe put a little bit of filter that moves the high end. Some hits are gonna be darker, some hits are gonna be slightly brighter. It doesn't have to be obvious. Even just a tape emulator with a little wow and flutter. Automate a little bit of saturation. Automate the width of it, which is another problem with this mix. This hi-hat is not only bright and loud, but I like the hi-hats to be a little more stereo, and so the snare. So this part is just nothing happens. You know, it's boring. And I understand the focus is on the lyrics, but the mix should follow the lyrics and the story. You know, that's the purpose of the mix, and this is not doing it.
My biggest fear, on my biggest fear, is I spend my whole week just waiting for a weekend. I spend my whole...
You hear how inconsistent the background vocals are. The first note, there's this, let me just cancel this.
On my biggest fear, is I spend my whole week just waiting for...
There.
On my biggest fear, is I spend my whole week just waiting for a weekend.
That's a resonance there that in the first note on the background vocals should be taken care of.
On my biggest fear, is I spend my whole week just waiting for a weekend.
Okay, nothing that I can really do here with the final mix, but you get the point.
I spend my whole week just waiting for a weekend. Now the weekend's here, weekend's here, weekend's gone.
Here the background vocals are almost louder than the lead. Make something happen here. Create like a big giant lead vocal and add some effects, some ad-libs. There's no ad-libs here, which again is a production choice, but still it would be a lot more interesting. And when I said this, like 90% of the mixes that I receive for consultations, I said before it lacks vocal production, like real professional vocal production, okay? The invisible ambience are not just effects, but are also doubles. Doubles, like more performances, like the same performance as the lead vocal, which can be mono, can be two left and right, depending on the style. Probably here I would use mono. Tucked in, EQ differently, compressed differently, saturated differently, automated with the level. There's none of this here. And this part, if you kept the double, let's say mono the whole time, this could be the moment in which you throw a stereo double performance here, make it huge, make it happen. Nothing happens here. But again, it's an overall balanced, good mix, okay? Of course, I need to pick things apart, otherwise I'm not helping anyone.
Yeah. You can die from the hands of police. You might die while you running.
Those throws, call and response. Let me see. Oh, I should do it here because you're not gonna hear it.
You might die while you run.
You hear, even if there's some stereo information, I'm sorry, I need to do it here to actually hear the stereo in stereo. This plugin kind of sucks for that.
You might die while you running these streets. You might die while the police.
So my point here is the call and response is too similar to the lead vocal.
You can die from the hands of police. You might die while you running these streets.
You tried, who mixed this, to give it another color, but there's not enough difference. It doesn't feel like another color. It feels like the same vocal, just weaker. While the response, call and response, the response could be more radio-y, if you want to go for that effects. It should be really wide and stereo with very little information on the mid channel. And don't tell me about monocompatibility. I don't want to hear shit like that. We mix for stereo, and you know, here candies are stereo for a reason, and there are ways to make it also monocompatible if you want. This has too much information on the mid, too little on the side, the response. So the feeling is just a weaker version of the lead vocal, when it should be a change, a moment to expand if you want to keep this lead so mono and dry in the mix, and you miss that option here.
You can die from the hands of police. You might die while you running these streets. You can die from
EQ, again, saturation, width, level.
You might die while you running these streets. Dear God, don't let me die in these weeks. Oh Lord, don't let me die in these weeks.
Especially with such lyrics, you want the listener to feel something, and this call and response is just sitting there. You know, make this message important. It is important, right? So make it important. You could throw a Doppler effect here without the pitch, you know, just flowing left to right, or a 3D effect, one of the 3D panner, just make it pan around the listener. So many things.
Oh Lord, don't let me die in these weeks. Yeah, God, don't.
And again, make something happen at the end, because it's all the same.
Niggas die while they running these streets. God, don't let me die in these weeks. God, don't let me die.
Let me try another plugin that I have. The Lipwig Audio could also kind of fix that. Although, if I really had to work on this and I only had the master, I would probably extract the mid, the vocal only from the mix, and then try to add a little bit of those ambience on a parallel channel. Is a little bit tricky, but it can be done if you know what you do.
You could die while you running these streets. Oh Lord, don't let me die in these weeks.
Yeah, I mean, no, Dr. MS is better for this. Like I said, the hardware would fix that, would make it a lot better. But so these are the main things. Overall, this is a well-balanced mix. Aside from that kick, snare, and hats that are too distracting, it has the most common problem that almost all the stuff that I get sent has. There's little to no automation. There's little to no real vocal production, which is something people consult me and hire me to do for their songs, by the way. Just, you know, this is the song, arrange my vocal, like what part do I have to record, how many, what harmony, how many backgrounds, what they're gonna do, blah blah blah, and all that. But yeah, I think this is it for this mix, so you get an idea of what you get with consultations. Let me know in the comment down below if you like this series, and if you guys like it, we'll try to keep it going. Of course, I don't have that much time for this, but you know, I'll try my best. So leave the comments down below. Stay tuned for the next episode. I'm gonna just do all these mixes here, which are the first batch that you guys sent, before I put down the send your mix post around, because way too many were coming already in the first 5 hours. But yeah, this is it for this video. Let me know in the comment down below. Thank you for watching. Click the join button down here, become a member, support the channel, and access all the videos and courses here. Subscribe if you haven't already, notification bell on. Stay safe. See you next time.
Hands on my neck, hands grip my throat. Lift me up, man, take control.